Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so let's look at appearance and reality in Heroes. Again, as always, there are other videos you can look at, other themes for Heroes, but we've also got some Inspector Calls, Mice and Men, and very soon some language revision videos for you to look at also. But let's just jump into it. Appearance and reality. So remember with Francis, appearance and reality is something very, very different, and with Larry as well. Appearance is that outward appearance, things that they present to us, but the reality of the situation. Often, as the reader, we get a lot more insight to Francis in particular of what's really going on underneath. So when Sister Matilda says to Francis, "We all have secrets," she's talking about everybody. Not just Francis, even though it's to him. Think about all the characters. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a single character that doesn't have some kind of secret buried within that perhaps affects that the way they're presented. But it's a difference between how the characters present themselves and that reality underneath. So, appearance and reality. In the Veterans Club, Arthur Riviere hides his depression from the war. Remember that scene where he's outside, he's drunk, and he's talking with a lot of pain. It was our war. We were only there. We were scared. God, we were scared. Really thrown in the reader's face this depression, this sadness, this pain that's hidden. Although when he's in the club, in St. Jude's Club, he's bubbly, he's bright, he's energetic. Again, that appearance and reality is very different there, and underneath it's hidden, it's tucked away. Enrico Riccelli, hiding his despair behind those humorous remarks. If you think about Enrico lying in that bed, he jokes around with Francis about, oh, you need a blind girl, and um, you know, uh, um, talking about the nurses and things. Very humorous, very positive. And then we see a different side of him when Francis talks to him the next day, and it says he's grasping the air where his legs used to be, and he's in agony and pain. Again, that appearance versus reality. They're very physical pain, but probably a mental pain there as well. Um, Francis goes to great lengths to hide his identity. When he comes back to Frenchtown, he doesn't even give his own name, remember, to Mrs. Belander. And again, in the club, doesn't say who he is. And when Arthur Riviere actually identifies him as Francis, you're a Silver Star hero, you're a goddamn hero. Francis begs him, no, please, I don't want to be seen as that. And Arthur agrees to keep his secret. That's that appearance to reality. They're very, very different. And the theme of identity is shown a lot in Larry LaSalle. I think that's probably the one when we look at appearance and reality that really stands out. Yes, there have been rumours about why he left and came to Frenchtown. But apart from that, the appearance we're given of this man is tall, handsome, talented, wonderful in every way. We cannot be faulted. Um, and yet underneath, we know the reality is much different. If you go back and look at that confronting evil video and the theme of heroes, a theme of evil in Heroes, I think you'll understand this a lot more. But underneath everything is that sort of persona and reality of person, of that evil nature that he has. And yet it's not until the end that we see that. We know through Francis that he's done something terrible, something catastrophic, but we as a reader don't find this out to the end. And that's a real shock when the appearance that we're given of this man is drastically changed when we find out about his reality underneath. And Nicole as well, hiding from her family to spare them the pain. And the appearance there is a young, sweet, happy-go-lucky little girl, young woman who is in love with Francis and filled with the joys of the world, wants to help the nurses, strong girl. But the reality is that she's been broken, and is filled with pain and filled with fear now because of what Larry's done. And we see that particularly in that last confrontation with Francis, how broken she's become, how she couldn't even look at the postmark from Frenchtown on the letters because it filled her with fear and terror, and how she's slowly building herself back up. I think we really see that broken reality underneath. But remember, we do have to look at this in terms of war as well. The appearance and the reality of war is a massive, massive thing in Robert Cormier's novel. You know, the people in Frenchtown see this glorified version of war. If we think about the movie tone news bit that we see when Francis and Nicole are on their date and they've gone to the cinema, and you know the clips that are run of Larry and of war. It's very much these are heroes, patriotism. Here we go! Wow, it's fantastic. You should be like these. And even Francis talks about how he wanted to be like them. He wanted to be out there fighting the Germans and the Japs. You know, he wanted to be like them because that is how war was shown. The appearance of war was this wonderful, fabulous, miraculous thing where, you know, if you went, you were a hero. You were somebody to look at. But we know the reality of that is much different. You know, the survivors coming back. If you look in that St. Jude's club, they're talking about how they're going to be this, they're going to be that. Actually, they're just in a club. They're just drinking because there's not much else they can do. If you look at Enrico, the reality of that, you know, real physical, painful reality there, with his limbs and his body and his injuries. Francis, you know, his face, his skin. Look at that first chapter where he goes throughout every injury that he's got and really describes it in detail. That's the reality of war. We're given that straight away. You know, don't believe the appearance, don't believe what it's showing you, because this is the reality. And Arthur as well, with that scene when he becomes drunk and talks about how he feels and his depression in terms of the war. You know, this novel really shows us that the appearance that we are given of war was not the reality, and that's something you could talk about in your essay. But Robert Cormier said, I really believe that most people hide who they are, and I think we all have hidden lives. And I think that's true for almost everybody in this novel, particularly our three main characters, and you know, throw Arthur in there as well. All four of them are hiding who they truly are on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so examiner's tips about reality and appearance. Think about Francis. He's going to be a big one for reality and appearance. The white silk scarf, the cap. Not only does it protect himself from other people, from being distressed by their injuries, from them looking at him, but also it's there to block them from recognizing him. It's that hiding the reality. The appearance is, I'm just a soldier, I'm nobody, I've just got injuries. The reality is much different, and he's got a real desire there to avoid being recognized, from a practical way, because he doesn't want Larry to know he's back. You know, he doesn't want to build those connections again, but also, you know, from a more upsetting way in terms of, you know, who is Francis Casavant? Does Francis even exist now? You know, or did he die on that grenade, really? You know what I mean? Or is, you know, who is he now? But that's more of a talk for identity, and we'll talk about that in another video. Again, it's a symbol of that shame, that disguise. He carries it with him everywhere. It haunts him. It is on him. It's a burden that he has to wear. Again, with the gun, if you go and look at the symbolism video, that gun of symbolism and that weight of burden, that's something that you can talk about in this essay. But he doesn't want to be a war hero. He doesn't want that silver star. You know, everything that he appears to be, this hero, this soldier, this legend of Frenchtown, the reality is that it was all motivated by a desire to take his own life, you know, for the crimes he saw himself committing with Nicole. Again, however, the irony is that, you know, we know straight from the beginning, you know, all the people in the novel that he's trying to hide his identity to, from the first line, we know exactly who this person is. And I you know, you feel almost guilty knowing this from the beginning as you're watching him continuing to hide and hide and hide. But he's very truthful with us. One moment, take a quick break. Okay, you might have noticed there was a slight pause in the video there. I do apologise. Let's get back into it. So, yes, remember that irony of hidden identity right from the start. But again, remember, we know who he is. But again, with Arthur, that hidden disguise of who he really is and the effect the war has really had on him. And Mrs. Bland as well not recognising Frances and creating that suspense. Will she figure it out? Will she know who it is? But we also sympathise with Frances throughout, because we see, particularly in that St. Jude's Club, when Arthur is sort of figuring out who he is, he's genuinely afraid of being found out. And when he's looking for lodgings as well, he's afraid that she'd recognise her voice. And that's something that we really need to think about there, where we're looking at disguise and a hidden identity, and appearance versus reality. Okay, so think about that while you're doing it, but just a couple of key quotes here. Nothing glamorous like the write-ups in the papers on the newsreels. We weren't heroes, we were only there. That's a real key quote there for appearance and reality, because it literally shows both sides. In the papers, it's glamorous, it's magnificent, it's heroic, it's there's patriotism, but actually, when we look at it, we weren't heroes. We were just there. We were men doing a job, and it wasn't anything like they displayed. Really good key quote there for appearance and reality, hidden identity, a disguise, that kind of thing. So for revision, a good task here to do. So take your 3 characters, Frances, Larry, and Nicole. You could also take Arthur in there as just a little bit of an extra. Divide it into 3 columns, and for each one, write down what are their motives, what are their reasons for hiding their secrets or their identities, and write down their reasons. Try and add quotes in there if you can, and then look at what they have in common as well. The rec centre. Most of their secrets, most of that hidden element that they all have, kind of stays around that rec centre. That's our focal point, our centre point for where everything sort of goes wrong. And again, that play on the word rec in terms of recreational centre, but rec as in lives being wrecked. And we're going to look at that in symbolism video as well. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. And remember, send me some answers, send me some questions. I will answer them. You can put them below this video. You can go into the Google Classroom, or you can go to school email, start typing in Harrison, and I will come up. But again, I know lots of you have my personal and school email anyway. Make sure you're revising. It will really, really work well. It was going to get you towards that exam. It's going to get you closer to those grades you want. Go and revise. Have a nice day.